All right, what's up, folks? Good morning and happy Wednesday. I am back from my little trip to Vermont, feeling rejuvenated. But all right, y'all, quick sound check, make sure we are good to go, and we shall jump in. It looks like since I've been gone, you've all tried to fix the market. Very good effort here from the Bulls. So first things first, the rankings of all the above. The theme is progress. I don't think the Bulls have fixed all the problems, but they've made a lot of progress. Indexes all get a positive score. Over here on the sectors, you've got healthcare, gold, utilities, real estate, XLP, top dogs of the sectors. The weakest would be energy, ARK, and Bitcoin. And then on my most important names, the money makers, with the exception of Amazon, they've all got a positive score. Strongest would be Meta, Goldman, TSM, Netflix, a little JP Morgan, a little Apple, and then Broadcom, Nvidia, Tesla. They are trying to get things going here. So one thing I did add to the sheet this morning, this big 14. Let me blow that up for you. So the big 14 watch list, aka the money makers, between now and the end of September, these are the only names I'm trying to focus on. S&P's QQQ, the futures. But then as far as the stocks, it's just these names. JP Morgan, Amazon, Meta, AMD, Google, Goldman, TSM, Apple, Netflix, Broadcom, Tesla, Microsoft, Nvidia, AMAT. For about 8, 9, 10 years running, every single year, that's where I make all my cash. So what I'm working on this morning, I took these 14 names. And for those of y'all that follow Sam in the Essentials Room, Sam has his Mag 7 index. He took the Mag 7 names, made his own index. I took these 14 names here, and I made my own index. We'll call it the Big 14 Index. And this is what it looks like. On the weekly chart, very much like the S&Ps and the QQQ, very important move back above the weekly 21. If the Bulls can't hold it above the weekly 21, I think we're shaping up for another leg back down to the downside. So we've got the Big 14 back above the weekly 21 with a weekly score of 9. We have canceled the daily sell signal. We are back above the daily 21. And they do make some good progress here across lower time frames. They fixed the structure on a 5-minute, a 15-minute. They are working on the 30-minute. That's where we got to see the progress from the inside out. So from that point of view, if that's an index of all the names I care about, all the names I want to watch and trade, my focus would be, as long as the index here is above that daily 21 EMA, I want to try to find a few spots to get long. They can keep my index above the daily mean. Then what I would do is jump over back to the sheet. And all right, who's the strongest? If I'm thinking long as far as my basket, who's the strongest in my basket? I wouldn't be in a big rush to buy Amazon, -4. Wouldn't be in a huge rush to go buy some AMD, Google, Microsoft. But yeah, give me a 15-minute or a 30-minute squeeze on Meta. I'm going to be interested. Meta, Goldman, TSM, Netflix. I want to take the strongest names on that list. Then I'm looking for what? Lower time frame squeezes. Until things change, that is the overall game plan. Big 14 index. The new one improved above that daily 21 EMA. Short term, I'm looking for spots to get long. Keyword there is short term. I don't want to call for multiple days of strength. I don't want to call for week after week of strength. Looking for a short-term pop. I think the ideal trade for the current market would be something like the TSM trade we did last week. Right? We're in, we're out. No drawdown, no drama, no headache. Just a good-looking end of day 15-minute squeeze. Caught a little gap up the following morning. In and out. To me, right now, if we're looking to get long, that kind of trade is ideal. One of our stronger names on the list, right? Not an Amazon, not an AMD, Meta, Goldman, TSM, Netflix. Taking those names, looking for that lower time frame squeeze. It could be a 5-minute, a 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour. We take them where we can get them. What I'm not so much focused on is a weekly, a 3-day, or a daily squeeze. We're making progress, but I don't think we fixed all the issues. Bare minimum, until I can get a fresh buy signal on the S&Ps and the QQQ, I do want to think a bit shorter term. But as far as the indexes go, I'll give you two really important levels. The weekly 21 EMA and the daily 21 EMA. Bigger picture, another weekly close back below that weekly mean. I think it all gets a bit ugly. I think we can afford a bit of a dip here. If we dip back to 5,400, 5,350, even 5,300, I think we can accept that dip, so long as price holds above that 53. Any dip that sees price holding above that weekly 21 might end up making for a good buying opportunity. Bigger picture, bare minimum, they got to hold the line there at that weekly 21. They break that and they open the floodgates. Then I would also give you 5,400. Again, the theme is progress. Now the question is, can they keep that progress? Back above the weekly 21 at 5,300. It's a good step in the right direction. Back above the daily 21 around 5,400. I think an even bigger step in the right direction. How can we handle the next decent dip? They trap the shorts, they squeeze the shorts. You know, guys, at some point, we're going to have to pull back to a 30-minute or hourly 21 EMA. And that's where I think we're all going to learn a lot more about the market. They trap the shorts, they squeeze the shorts. Okay, cool. Where can we go from here? Is this just a short squeeze? And at some point, we're going to roll over and take out the lows? Or do we make a bigger bottom? And this might be the beginning of a nice leg higher. That'll all come down to how do we handle that first back test. The first dip to the hourly 21, and we're breaking through it. Momentum shifting, structure breaking, we're getting sell signals. None of that really screams buy the dip. Or perhaps we pull back, and they hold structure perfectly. They keep momentum above zero. They're cranking out some fresh buy signals. That might be a point in time where things are shaping up for a bit more upside. Mark up your really important levels, 53 and 5,400, weekly and daily 21 EMA. Then at some point we figure out how can the old girl handle a pullback. QQQ, I will give you the same two levels. The break and then the pop back above the weekly 21. I think a pretty important bounce. Again, we have things to fix, right? No buy signal. We only got a 7 out of 12. Momentum back below zero. It's not as if we're looking at a weekly chart and it's firing on all cylinders. The bounce does help their case. 455-ish. Back below that 455. And I think they dump it. 455 and 460. Pretty simple stuff. If they can keep it above the weekly 21, better yet, if they can keep it above that daily 21, they might keep on working on a path higher. I take those over-under levels. If we're above them, I look for a spot to get long. Best case scenario, 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour squeeze. But only if we're above those key levels. 3 o'clock tonight, and the QQQs are back below 460. They're dumping, taking out yesterday's low. Yeah, I don't want to be long anything. Indexes first. Are we above the key level? Then who's my leadership? Meta, Goldman, etc. That tis the game plan. If they fail to hold it and we're going lower, we're taking out support, then I look for the opposite. Indexes trading below key levels. Then I go look to my weakest names, Microsoft, Google, AMD, Amazon. Can I go find a short? Or I can just short the S&Ps and the QQQ. So as far as a few of the stronger names, Meta is pretty interesting. And like I mentioned, I'm thinking a bit more shorter term. Can I buy it on a Wednesday and sell it by Thursday or Friday? But for friendly conversation, for conversation's sake, if the bottom is in, and personally I've got no idea, but if the bottom is in and QQQ never sees lower prices, check out the weekly squeeze here for Meta. Again, a giant if. If the QQQ found a bottom, and if we can turn the corner and keep on trending higher into September, October, November, weekly squeeze here for Meta, I think could take price upwards of $600. But I highly doubt it can do that without the market. We do have the slingshot. So 4 things I'm always looking at: trend, structure, momentum, and then the squeeze. The slingshot says you've got 3 of the 4. Compression from the squeeze, we're building up energy. The structure, the foundation of the chart, that all supports a move higher. The trend of the chart, wind at your back, that supports a move higher. The 4th and final ingredient, the missing ingredient, momentum line back above 0. The one difference between the current weekly squeeze and the weekly squeeze we had back here, momentum. Back here you had compression, trend, structure, momentum above 0. A+ setup, beautiful move. Now we have compression, trend, structure, no momentum. Again, it's going to be more of a QQQ thing. But if the bottom is in, at any point they take that weekly momentum, pull that bad boy back through 0, this becomes a perfect setup. Structure, momentum, trend, buy signal, all the fixings for a push towards 600. A little more of a bigger picture idea, but keep that in the back of yo noggin. And then better yet, we got the slingshot here on the 3-day squeeze. Bigger picture potential. Shorter term, go find your entry, go find your clarity on a lower time frame squeeze. Not sure if we had any yesterday. 30-minute squeeze. So Meta is numero uno. And then we have Goldman. Goldman does have a 1-hour squeeze. And it also has a slingshot squeeze here on the daily. Wait for the market to open. Check the internals. Keep an eye on the S&Ps. Watch the QQQ. If it all leans a bit more bullish today, not a bad-looking 1-hour squeeze here for the Goldman. With the hourly 50 all the way below the hourly 200, this won't become the A+ setup. Therefore, I won't take it. But as far as the idea of what I'm looking for, that pretty much checks all the boxes. Almost all the boxes. Indexes are above the key levels. Goldman is number 2 on the board. If I had a white dot on the 1-hour squeeze, I'd want to play that for a move back towards 500. Next week's calls. Few more here, but y'all get the point. TSM. TSM's been good to us a couple times this year. TSM is number 3. Is that the best looking daily chart I've ever seen? No, not really. Momentum below 0, 21 below the 50. I've definitely seen better, but in the context of the current market, that's a lot of progress. No more sell signal, back above that 21, back above that daily 50. Maybe mark up that daily 50. And then above that 169, 170, go looking for that lower time frame squeeze. Look on the 5, the 15, the 30. Whatever tickles your squeeze fancy. And then one more here, the Netflix. The one they call Netflix. And yeah, I've seen better looking daily charts. Exhibit A, about 2 months ago. That daily squeeze and this daily squeeze, they're not even comparable. Back there in June, way better structure, way better momentum, way better setup. In the context of the current market, this is progress. No more sell signal. Back above the 21 EMA. No lower time frame squeeze action, but they've got a daily and they've got a 3-day. But when I go look at that 3-day squeeze, I don't think the ideal plate of opportunity right now. If I'm going to go buy a 3-day squeeze, I'm banking on anywhere from 5 to 10 days of strength. I need a good, chunky, sustainable move. And while we're making progress here, I'm not too sure we're in that kind of market where I want to take the S&Ps, take the QQQ, and call for 5, 10 plus days of nice, smooth upside action. But I do think I can call for 15 to 30 minutes or even a day of good, clear direction. So keep an eye on all the top dogs here. As always, subject to change. Meta, Goldman, TSM, Netflix, JP, little Apple, little Broadcom, a little NVIDIA. And then from there, a pretty good drop-off. Tesla down to Amazon. And then real quick, let me show you a few sectors here. Outside of the big 14, I've got to like XLP. Very pretty. Weekly squeeze just fired. We've got the white dot on the 3-day squeeze. We have got the white dot on the 2-day squeeze. We got one on the daily, and we got one on the 4-hour. 1, 2, 3, 4 different time frames, all printing the A+ setup. As a general statement, it's my favorite combination in the world. Not just 4 time frames, but 4 bigger time frames. Now think of the potential domino effect. 4-hour squeeze fires, that can trigger a pretty nice move. As they fire that 4-hour squeeze, they might go wake up that daily squeeze. Daily squeeze fires, that's going to lead to a bigger move. And then off goes that daily squeeze. Next thing you know, they wake up the 2-day. Then they're waking up the 3-day. And it's just a beautiful thing. Not in my watch list, but beautiful. Which could benefit names like Procter & Gamble. The reason I'm watching these 14 names exclusively, I've been trading for about 10 years now. That's where I make all my cash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years in a row. I might trade 100 different stocks. The 80-20 rule. I make 80% of my money on 20% of the things I trade. Might trade 100 different names. I'm only making cash on about 20 of them. It's been my experience, things outside of that basket, right? Industrials, XLP, energy, healthcare, they can be a little flimsy. You can see the flimsy nature of Procter & Gamble. And mind you, I don't think I've created, you know, some indicator with a 100% win rate. I'm not trying to claim that, hey, every time we get a squeeze in a white dot, it's a guaranteed big move. What I have observed, though, they work a lot more as advertised in the big names, right? Big tech, big semis, than they do in the other characters. A plus daily squeeze fails. A plus daily squeeze fails. 1, 2, 3 times in a row. Can just make for a trickier trade. But I like XLP. I like Procter in the gamble. Healthcare here, not too shabby. I've got to respect the buy signal on every time frame. Industrials, that's kind of iffy. The sheet would tell us healthcare, gold, utilities, etc. Anybody but energy. But all right, y'all, we have about 20 minutes until the cash open. If y'all got anything you want to take a look at, drop it down here in the chat. And then for those of you in the mastery, I will be live at 11:30 a.m. Central today. We'll make up for our lost time from yesterday. And then tomorrow we'll do our typical 10:30. The Thursday 10:30. Groovy Jeff, great question. If we move into a true long-term rotation, what would be the sectors of your new 14? So the big 14 watch list is 98% big tech, big semis. The only thing not big tech, big semiconductor would be Goldman and JP, right? Two financials. And then what do we consider Netflix? Not a semiconductor. I mean, maybe a bit more tech, XLC. But no, it'd be a very technology semiconductor dominated index. A lot like the S&Ps and the QQQ. So you will notice the difference between the charts here. I mean, here's a big 14, big dump, and you're back above that daily 21. Little bit of a mirror image of the S&Ps. Big dump, back above the daily 21. QQQ, same exact move. But if you think about it, that all makes a lot of sense. Go pop open the hood on QQQ, SPY. Look at the top 10, 15 holdings. These names are pretty dominant. Apple, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. I mean, those 3 or 4 make up 10, 15 plus %. The big dogs. The big dogs, as they call them. Yeah, great question. If I were to include anything bond related, I would watch TLT. Yep. Good morning, Scott. Good morning, David, Terry. Buenos dias. Scott, Micron. Okay, if we compare Micron to a few of the other semis, and what I'm looking at here is a total score. Broadcom gets a -8 on the daily. I'm sorry, Micron gets a -8, while Broadcom gets a 1. Now, a 1 out of 12, not going to quite knock off your socks, but it's better than a -8. NVIDIA gets a 1 out of 12. TSM gets a 5 out of 12. A better question would be, does Micron grade out better than the ETF? -8, while the SMH gets a -1. Point being, in the group, few things are a bit stronger. And I'm using the word stronger a little loosely here. We pulled back pretty hard. Structure took a bit of a whooping, but in the context of the pullback and the initial bounce, few things in the group grade out a little better than the Micron. Therefore, I focus a bit more on the NVIDIAs, the TSMs, the Broadcoms. But if I do want to play for a move here in Micron, I think in the short term, you've got a pretty good target. 100 to about 102. If they keep on pumping SMH, they keep on pumping NVIDIA, etc., should benefit Micron. Maybe even for a bounce back to the daily 200. So I'd mark up that as my target, my initial target, and then I'm looking for a squeeze. Now, then I can take that squeeze, then I can go look for my entry. If I were to get a 15-minute buy signal, I can go work the idea off the 15-minute squeeze. Now think of my risk reward. 15-minute squeeze gets a white dot, right? Turns into an A+ setup. I can buy it at 98, and I can dump that trade around 96.50. If they can't hold a 15-minute 21, I'm probably going to hit the road. I'll take on about $1.50 of risk in exchange for closer to $4 of upside if they do want to bounce it back to that 200 SMA. I think stronger names in the space, but I do like that risk reward. It might come back on you to the tune of about $1.50, or it might reward you to the tune of about $4. I like those numbers. All right, few more folks. Paul, good morning, Paul. Starbucks. Yeah, I heard Starbucks had a decent afternoon. So the Chipotle CEO left Chipotle to go join Starbucks, or is it vice versa? As far as the chart here, I would kind of take a step back and let it, shake out. Try to figure out how the cookie crumbles. What the gap up does do, it does put it back above a few key levels. You're back above your 21, you're back above the 50. And I think bigger picture, more importantly, you are back above that daily 200. And now the question would become, at some point, there should be a dip here. Does that dip unfold like it did back here? Big gap up above the 200. Nice push. On the first back test, they totally dropped the ball. They quickly get back all the progress they made. That'd be the question. On any good dip, if they can keep it north of $90, there might finally be an opportunity here for Starbucks to trend higher. And God knows my wife makes her contribution to the revenue. Costco, the cost. The biggest thing I see on cost here, I'm looking down there at the daily momentum. Notice back here, they shifted the histogram positive, momentum back above zero, and that kicks off a nice trend. Push, pull back, continuation, pull back, continuation. On the break here, that kind of puts a knife in it. Into the end of this week, I'd be pretty interested to see if they can keep this little cross. They're trying to poke their head back above zero. If they can really rip that and keep it above zero, they've got some gas in the tank, and they can potentially do some good things with that. But all right, y'all, I am going to let you go here. I got to go heat up the coffee, and then we'll figure out what the open has got in store. Again, for those of you in the mastery, I will see you at 11:30 a.m. Central. I'll do a broadcast into the Centrals room. And then, yeah, that is it for today. Y'all know my game plan. Mark up the key levels on the S&Ps and the QQQ. That'd be your daily and your weekly 21 EMA. And then with patience, if we are above those levels, I am taking the strongest names on my list, looking for spots to get long. Not for a 3 or 4 week move, not for a 5 or 10 day move. Can I get in? Can I get my paycheck? Can I get the hell out of there? Something like a TSM. Could be early, could be the afternoon, could be right before the close. If I can buy them right here and then sell them up here for a 40, 45% profit, I will take it. But all right, good people, as always, good to be back. Thank you for your time this morning. Much, much appreciated. And I wish you all the best of luck.